Good morning and welcome. Whether you are attending in person, participating remotely, or watching our live stream, I am delighted that you are with us today to celebrate the Duke Law Class of 2021. As you know, graduations are often as much of a thrill for loved ones as they are for the graduates themselves. Today, family members and friends across the country and around the world are tuning into this ceremony. So at this time, I'd like to ask our graduating students to applaud to show your appreciation to those people whose love and support have helped you reach this milestone. Also joining us today are members of the Duke Law faculty, including many who are joining us virtually. They are exceptional scholars and practitioners who have dedicated their careers to teaching and mentoring you. Please join me in thanking them for their contributions to your education and your personal and professional development. Let's also recognize our staff who work so hard to ensure the smooth running of Duke Law School and provide you with the best possible student experience. They are talented professionals who have supported you from the time you applied, through your time as students, and will continue until long after you graduate. Please join me in thanking them. Today, it is my privilege to honor a remarkable class of law students. 251 of our graduating students are candidates for the Juris Doctor degree, or JD. These students have all spent at least 3 years at Duke, completed a rigorous course of study, and earned the right to join our distinguished body of alumni who practice law and serve the common good all over the world. Congratulations to the JD class of 2021. Eight of our JD candidates are also earning a master's degree from another school at this university, such as the Fuqua School of Business, the Nicholas School of the Environment, the Sanford School of Public Policy, or the Graduate School. By undertaking the demands of an additional course of study at the same time as completing their JD degree, these students have prepared themselves well for specialized careers in law. "51 of our degree candidates will receive a Master of Laws, or LLM degree. 21 of our LLM candidates are graduates of law schools in other countries. Many of them are already lawyers who came to Duke to learn about the American legal system and pursue advanced law studies in their areas of interest. In their 10 months at Duke, they have shared much with their fellow students, including their knowledge about their own systems of law, the cultures and traditions of their home countries, and a great enthusiasm for their courses, professors, and Duke University. 30 of our LLM candidates have completed the requirements for 2 degrees through one of our dual degree programs. 7 of our JD candidates have also earned a Master of Laws in Law and Entrepreneurship, and 23 of our JD candidates will also receive an LLM in International and Comparative Law. Congratulations to the LLM class of 2021. Finally, 3 of our graduating students will receive the Doctor of Juridical Science, or Sjd Degree. The Sjd is a demanding degree much like a PhD, requiring additional coursework, written and oral qualifying exams, and a dissertation and research guided by a faculty advisor. We salute these graduates for their commitment to scholarship and mastery of their fields. Congratulations to the Sjd Class of 2021. Today is a special day for me, too. 3 years ago, I had just arrived in Durham to become dean of this law school. On an August morning in Star Commons, I welcomed this class of JD students to Lead Week, your orientation. We were, in some sense, all 1Ls, brand new to Duke Law School. In fact, I'm not sure who was more nervous. I will always remember you as the first class that I helped to shepherd through from orientation to graduation today. Of course, we had no idea on that beautiful August morning what was in store for us over the next 3 years. But despite all of the challenges, or perhaps because of the challenges we experienced, we have both grown in our respective roles. Throughout the world, that took courage. And completing this rigorous course of study in the middle of a pandemic has taken toughness and resolve. Whether you realize it or not, in less than a year, you have come a long way too. In my welcome address to the JD students 3 years ago, I told you why I thought the law was such an important profession and why I thought you were wise to have chosen to join it at this moment. I talked about how lawyers persuade, solve problems, understand multiple perspectives, and create change. Lawyers, in other words, I told you, have superpowers. Your job as law students was to learn how to develop those powers and then practice using them carefully, ethically, and wisely. Well, class of 2021, I'm glad to say that you've done the first part. You have spent 1 to 3 years honing your powers of persuasion, problem-solving, empathy, and how, in Dr. King's words, to bend the arc of history toward justice. Now, it's time to go out and exercise your powers with care. In fact, there may never be a more important time. The last 18 months have shown in stark relief how many difficult challenges the world faces right now, and how badly we need leaders to help solve them. You have experienced many of these challenges yourselves, from the devastation and disruption of COVID-19 to the grief and pain of a new racial reckoning. You have had the most unusual law school experience of any Duke Law class before you, and it has not been easy. But what you have been through during your time at Duke has made you more thoughtful, more mature, more empathetic. It will make you better lawyers. As I said to the JD class 3 years ago, the world needs lawyers. Lawyers are critical to protecting the rule of law and the legal institutions required for our democracy to flourish. These institutions have continued to be put to the test. But we also have a long way to go to make the rule of law and our legal institutions fair and equitable for all people. The world needs lawyers who can simultaneously preserve and protect the institutions that make us strong while creating the changes needed to make our society more just. As Duke Law alumni, you will have the opportunity to join the many graduates of this institution who have used their power as lawyers to effect critical change in the world. Barbara Arnway of the class of 1976 is one such person. Ms. Arnway has devoted her career to helping ensure that everyone has a voice in our democracy. On May 2nd, Duke University President Vincent Price presented Ms. Arnway with an honorary doctorate at the university's undergraduate commencement. Because this year, our law graduates were not able to attend the undergraduate ceremony, I asked Ms. Arnway if we could replay the footage of her receiving her honorary degree. so that she, like all of you, could be honored here today at our law school convocation ceremony.
Attorney Barbara Arnway is president and founder of the Transformative Justice Coalition and an internationally renowned scholar. She's known for her contributions to critical justice issues, including the passage of the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1991 and the 2006 reauthorization of provisions of the Voting Rights Act. She is a vocal advocate for equitable practices in a wide range of areas, including voting rights, the rights of women and immigrants, judicial diversity, criminal justice reform, racial profiling, healthcare disparities, and LGBTQIA equality. Ms. Arnway has for decades been at the forefront of advocacy for diversity programs and the preservation of affirmative action. She has served as executive director of the National Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, a group founded by John F. Kennedy. And she organized the National Conference on African American Women and the Law. She serves as co-chair and facilitator of the National Commission for Voter Justice and the Voting Rights Alliance, and is on the boards of directors of Moms Rising and the African American Policy Forum. Ms. Arnway earned a Bachelor of Arts from Scripps College and a Juris Doctor from Duke, where she was one of the first African American female students at Duke Law. Barbara, for your extraordinary advocacy for equality and justice, I am delighted to confer upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Laws.
I want to thank Barbara Arnway for allowing us to share in her honor today. We will now hear remarks from representatives of the graduating classes. Our first student speaker was chosen by her classmates to represent the International Llm Class. Theresa Brandão Congino is from Sao Paulo, Brazil, and graduated from Mackenzie University with a dual degree in business administration and law. She also holds a master's degree in international advocacy from Sjd in Spain and is admitted to practice law in Brazil and Portugal. At Duke, she served in the International Law Society, collaborated with the Civil Justice Clinic, and participated in the Legal Design Derby to maximize access to justice in North Carolina, where her team won the Driving Collaboration Award. After graduation, she will continue her international career as a corporate lawyer. Theresa.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today to celebrate our special day. Llm Class of 2021, welcome to our first time at Cameron Indoor Stadium. I'm delighted to represent all of you, lawyers, prosecutors, future judges, and distinguished law students from 14 nationalities. We are a group of people who decided to study in one of the most prestigious law schools in the world, in a different legal system, in a different language. And unlike other LLM programs, Duke grades us on the same curve as JDs. It is safe to say that we left our comfort zone. And we didn't make this decision alone. On behalf of all of my classmates, I want to give thanks to our families. I want to thank my parents for never limiting my dreams, and my husband for being my partner to live all of them with me. Remember our long conversations in the WhatsApp group about whether to start the program in the fall? Our main question was, would we have the full LLM experience if we start in the middle of the pandemic? Our leap of faith is what brought us here today. My classmates, we are the brave and resilient group of students who committed to this program in a year of uncertainties. And then our journey started. Online classes can be lonely and overwhelming, but it was also fun. And I need to confess that I loved to be able to wake up at 7:55 a.m. for the 8 a.m. class and still make it on time. Of course, not everybody was so lucky. And I admire all of you who are taking classes from your home countries, from times ranging from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. In my first lecture, we tried for 20 minutes to tell our beloved professor he was on mute. We were holding up signs, motioning to our cameras, leaving the class all at once and coming back. Someone even considered to stop by at his house and ringing the doorbell. I'm sure that being on mute never happened to anyone else. We had the opportunity to share different views, question many things, deconstruct ideas, and reframe concepts. I'm convinced that yes, we did have the full LLM experience. No matter where life takes you from here, just remember how resilient you are and how much stronger you get after overcoming challenges. Lawyers, our voice is our power, our protection. Never forget who you are and what you stand for. Be part of a positive change and help build a world guided in love, respect, and care for each other and the environment. Lastly, don't forget that the most important thing in life is who you share it with. LLM Class of 2021, we did this together. More than engaging as students, we had the opportunity to become friends. We made our different cultures become one Blue Devil family. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Theresa. Our second student speaker was selected to represent the JD class. Garme Gorolwulu is from Portland, Oregon, by way of Liberia, and graduated from Stanford University with a degree in human biology and a concentration in African conflict development and health. At Duke, she served as the co-chair of the Women of Color Collective and the Coalition Against Gendered Violence. She was the special projects editor for the Duke Journal of Constitutional Law and Public Policy and was on the board of the Black Law Students Association and First Generation Professionals. After graduation, Garme will join the Portland office of Perkins Coie. Garme.
Thank you, Dean Abrams, faculty, staff, class of 2021, and all our loved ones here with us virtually and in spirit. Too often, we look at visionary leaders and believe that they are different from us. But each of us has that strength inside of us. We can manifest it in different ways with our different skills, but any attempt to improve the lived experience of another person is significant. Only a handful of you know this, but it was not a foregone conclusion that I would be graduating with you all today. I lost my dad during the first week of the fall semester after a lengthy battle with cancer, and much of my law school experience was tied to him. He lived with me for a good portion of time in Durham while he recuperated from treatment. He met a few of you, and he heard stories about many more of you. Even during his last days, he remained a man with a clear sense of purpose, urgency, and responsibility. His determination was inspiring, and every day, I had a constant voice in my head saying, I only have so much time here. Here, being at Duke Law, and here, being on this earth. I only share that with you now because it proves the old adage that you really have no idea what someone else is going through. And little did many of you know, I was leaning on you all, every day, without many of you fully understanding the gravity of your actions. It was inspiring to watch us all come into our own, sharing insights from class and readings with each other, devoting countless hours to legal academia through journal and research projects, doing client and policy work through clinics and pro bono projects, and building community in student groups. Those were the big things. But looking at those things alone minimizes our collective humanity. By virtue of existing, just as you were just what our community needed. I was also inspired by other things too, sharing notes with classmates, setting up coffee check-ins with mentees, talking about the world's big problems in an honest and respectful way, sharing about struggles to support each other, and many other seemingly effortless, thoughtful actions. It was the small actions day in and day out that maintained our community. It's so easy for us to focus on the positive final portrait and not talk about the struggles that led us to these moments of triumph. Yes, we were resilient, hardworking, intelligent, and so many other things. But we can also acknowledge that we overcame obstacles that were unique, and sometimes we overcame them silently, under the cover of darkness, and with little recognition. We were all here together in this space for a limited amount of time. So many things had to go right, even when they felt like they were going wrong, for us to be here in this unique, random assortment of people. I would not go back and change a thing. When I look back at my time at Duke Law, I can say it was worth it. You all were worth it, and I hope that you can say the same. Though we have spent the last few years pushing ourselves to be better each day, Class of 2021, please never forget that each of you is more than the sum of your parts. The world needs you to be who you are, authentically and humbly yourself. As I've heard many others say, and as I have said many times in my 3 years in this community, you are enough.
Thank you so much, Carme. Our distinguished speaker today is Professor Theresa Newman. Professor Newman is the Charles S. Rhine Clinical Professor of Law at Duke, the co-founder and co-director of Duke Law's Wrongful Convictions Clinic, and a leader in the National Innocence Movement. A longtime member of the Duke Law faculty, Professor Newman also serves as Associate Director of the Center for Criminal Justice and Professional Responsibility and the faculty advisor to the Duke's student-led chapter of the Innocence Project. She was a founding member of the board of the International Innocence Network, was the group's inaugural co-president later served as its president, helping set standards and ethical guidelines for innocence clinics across the country. After earning her law degree at Duke, Professor Newman clerked for the Honorable J. Dixon Phillips, Jr. on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit and practiced in the civil litigation group of the Wrongful law firm in Raleigh. She returned to Duke in 1990 to serve as general editor of Law and Contemporary Problems and the Alaska Law Review, and later as advisor to all of the law school's student-edited journals. She went on to teach legal analysis, research and writing, and legal ethics, and serve as the director of legal writing. And from 1999 to 2008, she served as Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. She has twice been honored by the law school's Law Alumni Association, receiving the Young Alumni Award in 2003 and sharing the A. Kenneth Pye Award for Excellence in Education with Professor James E. Coleman, Jr. in 2018. In 2008, Professor Newman and Professor Coleman established the Wrongful Convictions Clinic at Duke Law School to investigate claims of innocence made by North Carolina inmates convicted of felonies. Under the supervision of faculty, students in the clinic assist with developing clients' claims and, when necessary, pursuing relief in state or federal court. Since its founding, the clinic has secured the exoneration of 10 clients for crimes they did not commit and their release from prison after long periods of incarceration. 4 have been freed in just the last 2 years after collectively serving 118 years behind bars. We are honored to have this distinguished alumna, treasured faculty member, and tireless champion for justice address the class of 2021 today. Professor Newman.
When anyone reads my bio, I think it sounds like I just couldn't keep a job. They just kept moving me from position to position until finally I'm about to retire. So the resume ends here. Thank you, Dean Abrams. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, faculty and staff, seated where they've never sat before except for a basketball game. Good morning. I love the Zoom screens. Good morning, families and friends of the graduates and other faculty members. Hello up there, including, I believe, some of my colleagues. And good morning, a special good, I have it in caps, good morning to all of the graduates of the both LLM and JD classes of 2021. I wanted to say virtual, real, near, and far, welcome and congratulations. I am absolutely thrilled to be here with you this morning and to have the honor of speaking to you one more time. I know a number of you, some extremely well, and I sincerely wish I knew many, many more of you. What likely seems oh so long ago, I had the honor of speaking to you all together one time before. After the showing of at least the JD class, my apologies to the LLM class, but after the showing of the trials of Darrell Hunt at orientation. Do you remember yourselves then? Both classes, do you remember what you were like then? You seemed excited and a bit nervous, unsure of what lay ahead. What I most clearly remember about you, however, is how deeply moved you were by the injustice Darrell Hunt suffered. Although you had not had a single law school class, you were already eager to engage with the problems that led to Darrell's 20-year wrongful incarceration and, tragically, his death by suicide 10 years after his exoneration. A number of you approached the panelists afterward, including me, and you asked, "How can I help?" Since then, you have found myriad ways to do just that. Maybe not with the problems evident in Darrell Hunt's case, but with some of the other areas in need of attention. And as you know, the need is great. After orientation, I had the pleasure of engaging with many of you in lighter moments over the next 2 years. in the classroom, in committee meetings, at lunchtime events, in line at the cafe, and even just passing you or scurrying past you in the hallways to wherever we were going. To me, such interactions, even if only brief, are the stuff of life, and I enjoyed every one of them. Though, except perhaps for the time several of you took the last slice of veggie pizza right ahead of me before I entered for a lunchtime event. But no worries, I don't hold grudges, at least not for very long. Of course, this past year, our last together has been woefully different. When I saw any of you, it was on the other side of a Zoom connection, which was a pale substitute for seeing you in person, but still a welcome alternative to not seeing you at all. But for many of us, moving to Zoom was not the greatest sacrifice of this extraordinary year, as we just heard. I know there were far greater losses and distinctly greater challenges, and I am deeply saddened by that. I so wish for all of you that it had been otherwise, but it wasn't. And given that, and the fact that you are here today preparing to graduate, is strikingly more noteworthy and a greater reason to celebrate than any other year in my long memory at Duke, including my very own very happy graduation from this great law school. You met every typical challenge of a rigorous law school education, and it is rigorous. And then somehow you pulled it all out to meet the truly extraordinary challenges of this year. Although it is certainly not my place, I am so very proud of you for doing so, and I am excited about what you now know about yourselves and what you can accomplish in the future, which is truly anything. As you, or I have in my notes, as you are likely aware, and if you're paying attention, you are no doubt aware that I am retiring. I am leaving Duke Law School with you. I am, although, as my colleague Jim Coleman likes to tell our wrongful conviction students, and I agree, we are all lifers and will be forever called upon to assist with clinic work. I stand ready for that call. When my retirement was announced shortly ago, I received a letter from a student who graduated about 10 years ago and is now a partner in a Midwestern law firm. She congratulated me, but also wrote that when she was a student, she often felt insecure and unimportant because she wasn't on journal or a member of moot court. She added that working in the wrongful convictions clinic made her feel valuable and convinced her that she had what was required to be a good lawyer. Her letter touched me deeply, and I wonder how many more of us felt the same way. Her letter also inspired me to consider what experiences at Duke, both as a student and over the 3 decades since, helped shape me. Certainly, upon entering law school, I had very similar insecurities. I was a first-generation college student with no lawyers in the family or among our friends, and no real knowledge about law schools, embarrassingly little, or what lawyers even do. I was also the oldest member of the class, with 2 small children in tow. Because of that, I felt quite different and unlikely to succeed. Yet class by my torts professor, now retired, who had a notoriously gruff manner. I stammered out a string of responses, but eventually and embarrassingly admitted defeat. Then, at the end of class, still feeling embarrassed if not humiliated, I was met by supportive classmates who congratulated me for surviving the questioning and shared their own insecurities. I didn't realize it then, but I understood later that my classmates' small act of kindness dramatically helped ease my concerns about being at Duke and ticked up my confidence about being able to succeed. All of these years later, I am still so grateful for it. Over the years since, I have witnessed and experienced other acts at Duke, grand and small, that have shaped me, but more important, have left me more hopeful about the state of things larger than myself. Individually and collectively, these acts have provided evidence that, as Martin Luther King Jr. said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. I fervently hope that is true. Years ago, when talking to a Duke Law colleague about a minor administrative problem I was facing, one I was hoping would just resolve on its own, she scolded me, saying that, quote, hope is not a good management strategy. That is, hope alone is unlikely to effect change. Yet, as Brian Stevenson reminds us in his great book, Just Mercy, hope is critically important. Without hope, we are not inspired to take action, and without action, change cannot occur. The arc of the moral universe does not bend on its own. We all, the JDs, witnessed a remarkable arc-bending act captured in the Darryl Hunt movie. Recall that in the final court hearing, just before Darryl was released on a finding of innocence, after 20 years in prison, the victim's mother took the stand and forcefully told the judge, "You are about to release the man who killed my daughter." He did not. When Darryl was next offered a chance to speak, he rose from his seat, turned and spoke directly to that mother. I can't explain why people say what they say, or why they lie, or why all this happened, he said. Only God can. That's how I lived my days in prison, knowing that only God can bring about justice. And then, remarkably, he said, I just ask that you and your family know that in my heart, you are in my prayers. That selfless, compassionate act may not have changed the mother's mind about Darryl's release, but it has affected so many others, those present in the courtroom that day and the thousands more who have watched it afterward. As he spoke, you could almost feel the arc of the moral universe bending. In a case from the Wrongful Convictions Clinic, at an uncontested hearing, when we knew our client's conviction was going to be overturned, the judge did something very few judges and other state actors do. He apologized for the injustice, adding that although he believes he does justice every day, that day, the day he released our client after 17 years, was, quote, as close to knowing I am doing justice as I will ever experience in my career. He then descended from the bench, shook our client's hand, and welcomed him home. That is what justice can look like. In another case, our client took a stunningly selfless stand to promote justice. Over the 25 years of his wrongful prosecution and incarceration, he rejected multiple plea offers that would have sent him home many years before his exoneration in 2019. He rejected them partly because he was innocent, but mainly because he understood, as he put it, that walking out the back door of the prison would allow the state to avoid scrutiny, and the injustice in his case would continue in other cases. Over the years, students, including all of you, have taken countless other generous, kind, compassionate, creative, arc-bending acts in both your personal and professional lives. For example, and it's a long list, but these are examples. For example, outside of the law school, you comforted a friend, you cared for family members, you fostered puppies and kittens, you served food in the community kitchen, prepared tax returns, tutored children, built Habitat for Humanity homes, developed Twitter accounts to collect and comment on the news of the day. You organized and participated in protest rallies. You campaigned for candidates, and critically, you voted. At the law school, you shared class notes and course outlines, organized lunchtime events on current affairs, founded new social justice organizations, wrote, edited, and published relevant and important scholarly works. You represented clinic clients, celebrated members of the law school staffs, sometimes anonymously, and organized, engaged in sometimes challenging community-wide discussions. And finally, one of the simplest and yet extraordinarily moving acts by a student occurred in another clinic case hearing. As the judge was about to announce whether our client's conviction would be overturned and he could return home after nearly 25 years in prison, a student who had worked tirelessly on the case reached out from the bench behind the defense table and simply held his hand on the client's back. The room was silent, and the tension was almost unbearable. But that student's simple touch powerfully told our client that no matter the judge's decision, we are here, we support you. Sometimes that is all it takes to move justice, such a simple and powerful act. Of course, over the years, I have also witnessed small and great acts of inhumanity and injustice, including jailers yelling at a client for sitting in a staff chair rather than an inmate chair during one of our visits. Dishonest lawyers continuing to hide exculpatory evidence, and devastating court decisions. Excuse me, I can't abide this anymore. And devastating court decisions that have left innocent clients in prison with diminishing chances of returning home. But witnessing those acts has not led us to despair or lose hope. After one disappointing setback in a case, I complained to former Duke Law faculty member Michael Tiger, the great criminal defense and civil rights lawyer. He responded as follows: "Seems to me that if we win all of our cases, we are not close enough to the edge, the place we need to be. The lawyers in South Africa during the apartheid era won only a very few victories. Those victories were all worthy and good, and the claims for justice kept alive the idea of what a system where there is a level playing field, judges who listen and care, an application of decent and civilized rules might look like. That is, they were looking to the future as well as the present. And as Albie Sachs said when Mandela was released, all revolutions are impossible until they happen. Then they become inevitable." Michael Tiger continued, "That," he said, "is what our students must take to heart. Law is not a thing, it is a process. In the process, our students learn how very privileged they are and how great is the gap between their client and themselves, and between the deciders and the clients. It is the advocate's job to understand the client, to see the gap, and to bridge it." In keeping with Michael Tiger's words, Jim Coleman's motto for our clinic, and with a nod to Winston Churchill, is, "We never, 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 never give up." He may have more nevers, but we never, never, never give up. We never stop pursuing justice. We never stop doing what's right. We join hope and action, determine the next step, and with optimism, we move forward. as you are all poised for your next step, I know that you too will join hope and action and move forward with optimism. You have done that here, identifying areas of need, imagining possible solutions, and taking action. I am humbled and inspired by how much good you have done during your short time here. Please know that as I retire and move into the next days of my life, I will live by your example. And as you did during orientation, I will ask, how can I help? It makes me sad. I don't have this in my comments, but it makes me sad to be leaving a place I love, students I so admire, and but I'm so humbled to have had this opportunity to say goodbye to all of you and to Duke at the same time. So congratulations. What a lucky, lucky world to have all of you in it, and I can't wait to see what you do. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Brandon Neal, Duke Law Class of 2008, joining you here from Charlotte, North Carolina. As president of the Law Alumni Association Board, it is my distinct honor to congratulate you, the Duke Law Class of 2021, on your graduation and to welcome you to the amazing Duke Law alumni family. As a graduate, you are now automatically a member of the Law Alumni Association and part of a worldwide community of fellow Duke Law alumni. Please know that periods of great change and adversity produce even greater leaders. And we know that you will be those great leaders to propel us forward. You've reached a significant milestone with graduation today, but the value of the Duke Law experience exponentially increases from here if you remain engaged and connected. You are now supported by an incredibly valuable network of alumni eager to welcome and support you throughout your entire career. So today, I'm joined by alumni from all around the world to welcome your class of 2021 to the Duke Law Alumni Association. Welcome and congratulations.
Hello, class of 2021. My name is Maria Fernanda Diago, class of 2016, and I am from Barranquilla, Colombia. Congratulations on this amazing achievement. This was by far not an easy year, which makes you one of the most resilient and admirable classes Duke Law has ever seen. I want to welcome you into the Duke community, which, as you can see, is found all over the world. As Duke alumni, you are now part of a select group of people, but more than that, you're part of a family. We share the same Duke DNA, and I am proud to call you my Duke brothers and sisters. Now go out and change the world.
Hello, Duke Law graduates, class of 2021. My name is Colin Cox. I live in Houston, class of 2001, 20 years ago. Hard to believe, it goes by very fast. Congratulations on your great accomplishment. Use your degree, which you have earned, to its full extent. Be fierce in your ambitions. Be at a place that respects you. Be at a place that deserves you. Do all that you can with this Duke degree. You deserve it. Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Michael Sorrell, class of 1994. This is my daughter, Sade. Say hi, honey.
Hi.
We both want to congratulate you on being law school graduates. We want to welcome you into the profession, but we also want to issue you a challenge. Go out and be great. Make a difference in the world. Leave this place better than you found it.
Hi, my name is Shejuti Hossein, class of 2018, currently based in San Francisco. Welcome, class of 2021, to the Duke Law alumni community. My advice for you is to always seek and provide mentorship to the legal community. We can't succeed without each other. Congratulations.
Congratulations, class of 2021. My name is Danny Bembry. I was class of 2020, the first class to graduate in a global pandemic. I promise you guys the best is yet to come. We're so thrilled to welcome you to the Duke Law alumni community. Congratulations.
Hi, class of 2021, congratulations. Don't forget that as you move forward, the most important things that we do as lawyers is we take these tools and we use them on behalf of the great causes of our times. I wish you the best. I wish you nothing but success, and just keep being that true blue, the blue of the future, the blue of hope, the blue of love.
This is Dave Ma, class of 2010, coming to you from my sunny backyard in Los Angeles, California. Let me be one of the first to welcome you to the Duke Law alumni community. My advice to you is to stick close to your Duke friends. Call them, text them. As long as you make some effort to stay in touch, the connections you've made here will last a lifetime. Congratulations.
Congratulations to the Duke Law Class 21. I carried the lessons that I learned from our great professors to courtrooms all across the country, and I know that you will do the same. The perseverance and resilience of your class is an inspiration to us all. Go celebrate.
Greetings to you from Las Vegas. I'm so jealous of you being at Duke now. I'm Francis Falcruftin, a member of the class of 1945 in law school and undergraduate school. I cherished all of my memories while there, the memory of the faculty and the memory of all others who helped me with so many things while there. I congratulate you, and I hope you'll enjoy your memories as much as I am enjoying mine.
Hello, my name is Susan Prasnitz. I am a graduate of the class of 1989, and I live here in Washington, D.C. I wanted to say congratulations to the class of 2021. Please take advantage of your Duke network. There is none better anywhere in the world. And again, congratulations to all.
Thank you to our alumni for those inspiring messages, to our graduates, and thank you so much, Professor Newman, for your words today and for your more than 3 decades of service to the Duke Law community as a teacher, mentor, and advocate. We will miss you very much. We now come to the recognition of our graduates. Each graduate has been presented with an academic hood. The hoods you received are lined in blue and white to represent Duke University and trimmed in purple velvet to represent the field of law. I ask the following people to rise and assist in presenting our graduates. Professor Nita Farahani, winner of the 2021 Distinguished Teaching Award from our students, which is generously supported by the class of 1967. Clinical Professor Rebecca Rich, who received the Distinguished Teaching Award in 2020. Associate Dean for International Studies, Oleg Kobelev. And Assistant Dean for Student Affairs, Louis Hutchison. Let's begin.
Good morning, everyone. I now present the candidate for the degree of Doctor of Juridical Science. Joining us from Calgary, Canada, Ryan James Clements. I now present the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws. Mohammed Nasser El Abdul Karim. Maria Natalie Dinda Anasti. Yusuf W. Ackley. Joe Chung. Tie Che. Zoya Hassan. Han Don In. Yamo Kashowers. Joining us from Sijeon, South Korea, Ki-un Koo. Joining us from Shangcha, China, Tiru Liu. Luis Lopez Naranjo. Joining us remotely, Louis Malkin. Joining us from Nairobi, Kenya, Isa Abdullahi Omar. Leonard Michael Hardwig Pele. Setakit Khan Putankun. Marcela Hilo Isilva. Leping Soon. Tian Soon. Jegu Yu. Christophe Zaug. And finally, the LLM class speaker, Theresa Brandao Cangino.
It is my pleasure to present the candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor. Raquel Marie Edzema. Israth Jahan Umed. Martha Hunter Albritton. Joining us remotely from Minneapolis, Minnesota, Rohit Pranav Azarvatha. Daniel Houston Athenauer. Michael Lewis Bader. Brock Edward Baker. Griffin Hayden Baker. Joining us remotely from Dallas, Texas, Tristan Christopher Baker. Christian Ian Bale. Jonathan Baker Bass. Maurice Trey Baynard. Joining us remotely from Durham, North Carolina, Alexander Bednar. Alexandra Giselle Belsley. Daniel Barrick. Tyler Jennings Bird. Cormac Bloomfield. Andrea Rodriguez Boutros. Erica Chanel Brackett. Eve Paige Von Bramwell. Molly Mason Bruce. Emery Grantland Burns. Joining us remotely from Danville, California, Alexandra Laura Burton. Molly Byman. Benjamin Sayer Cantor. Caitlin Margaret Carberry. Daniel Cardenas. Chelsea Carlson. Justin Dale Carter. Catherine Elizabeth Carter. Addison Caruso. Joining us from Newport Coast, California, Kristen Elizabeth Casey. Janessa Clara Safali. Michael Lee Chin. Jonathan Juno Choi. Alex Cochran. Elizabeth Banks Cochran. Peyton Michelle Coleman. Casey Daniel Collins. James Turner Collins. Natalie Ann Curry. Stephen Kurt Dallas. Anya Gabriela DeJoy. Mary Kate Del Gingaro. Robert James Denault. Amanda Gray Dixon. Hadley Marie Dreibelbus. Sten Sonju Eccles Irwin. Bridget Eklund. Ann Dyer Esmond. Joining us remotely from Nantucket, Massachusetts, Perry Jacobs Feldman. Charles Fendrich. Kathy Fernandez. Alessandra Elizabetta Ferrero. Maya Francesca Finkelstein. Zachary Adam Flagel. Sarah Louise Forden. Danielle Marion French. Ulana Freer. William Thatcher Friss. Henry Justin Gargan. Laura Meyer Garvey. Glenna G. Taylor. Reem Jure. Daniel Jacob Gillen. Alden Daniel Glass. Jen Golston. Philip L. Gallaudet. Jerome Grant. Elsa Claire White Haig. Cody Joshua Hall. Jonathan Timothy Hall. Jordan Michael Hall. Charles Austin Hamilton. Austin Hart. Layla Marie Haddam. Andrew Ryan Hayes. Madeline Suzanne Hess. Richard Henry Hilliard. Joining us remotely from Berlin, Maryland, Catherine McGinnis Hillier. Lena Michelle Hirsch. Andrew Paul Homan. Ariel Hooks. Laura Horowitz. Rachel Davis Horton. Solmi Valeria Humani. Karen Elizabeth Huber. Aaron E. Hughes. Audrian Lee Jackson. Christopher Edward Johnson. Miriam Ismail Canna. Zachary Reuben Kaplan. Jason Stone Carlin. Max H. King. Rachel Klein. Krista Del Kowalczyk. Ryan Christopher Kuczynski. Zachary R. Kumar. Emma Templeman Kute. Sebastian Laguna. James Edward Lavery. Haley Nicole Lawrence. Sarah Jacqueline Poilai Laws. Michelle Mian Lay. Catherine Liu. Samuel James Lewis. Joining us remotely from London, England, Ada Dang Lin. Caleb Eric Logan. Waji Mahmood. Megan Scott Maloney. Kaylin McCart Malloy. Christopher J. Manley. Adele Rebecca Marchant. Lindsay Martin. Brendan Milligan McGuire. Harold Brent McKnight. Christopher Curtis Cook Meadows. Madeline Elisa Merkel. Joining us remotely from Dallas, Texas, Grant Edward Michael. Keenan Ryan Molaski. Samuel Hurling Moore. Connor Patrick Moyles. Christine Marie Mullen. Anthony Daniel Munoz. Emily Ann Murphy. Jacob Nagelberg. Joining us remotely from Asheville, North Carolina, Thomas Vincent Napoli. Hunter Blake Newell. Elaine He Win. Nicoletta Nikova. James Harold Noel. Joining us remotely from New York City, Joseph Matthew O'Brien. Obiananma Chakoti Okani. Joining us remotely from Middletown, New Jersey, Koth O'Sullivan O'Neill. Andres Pasuk. Joining us remotely from Queens, New York, Camille Ayana Parchment. Gerardo Arturo Paraga. Natalie Morgan Pate. Nehal Patel. Emma Caitlin Peplow. Emmanuel Abraham Perea Jimenez. Caitlin Sarah Phillips. Nicole Taylor Phillips. Eugene Brinson Polk. Joining us remotely from Goldsboro, North Carolina, Marquise James Pullen. Caitlin Ray. Brooke Elizabeth Reska. Mary Elizabeth Dato Reed. Christopher Joseph Resigliano. Emma Kent Roberts. Victoria Ann Rose. Jacob Rosen. Joining us remotely from Dayton, Ohio, Eric S. Reutman. Matthew Ruby. Jordan Ann Ryan. Austin Edward Sadoff. Zainab Assad Salem. Sharif Marwan Solfiti. Laurel Wickersham Salisbury. Aaron Davis Sanders. Mark Saunders. Robert Scott Shank. Bradley James Shupak. Matthew Schwartz. Claire Suzanne Sears. Anthony Severin. Jared Jordan Shadid. Audrey Shakilian. Joining us remotely from Gulf Breeze, Florida, Isabella Kathleen Shelton. Madison Waylon Sherrill. Zachary William Sherwood. Christopher Blake Shorey. Stephen F. Shukart. Kevin Siebes. Thane Douglas Simon. George Maxwell Skogstrom. Lauren Noel Smith. Helene Marie Snyder. Amanda Starr Solid. Olivia Law Sohn. George G. Sosa. Samuel C. Spears. Zeke Starr. Matthew Stile. Margaret Ellen Studdard. Courtney Suggs. Hadar Tanay. Catherine Ann Tarantino. Joining us remotely from Portland, Maine, Meredith Hadley Thompson. Rebecca Ellen Thompson. Jason Fong Tien. Serena Tibriwala. Joining us remotely from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, Luca Guglielmini Tomasi. Bailey Stanton Travers. Emily Ann Tribulski. Zoe Twyford. Allison Viley. Joining us remotely from Meadow Vista, California, Anderson McNally Varakin. Madison Tomiko Wamsley. Sichi Wang. Zishan Wang. Tara Jean Weiss. Katarina Rose Weissies. Joining us from Cary, North Carolina. Joining us from Durham, North Carolina, Emma Campbell Wellbaum. Avery Carolyn Westerland. Catherine Kingsley Weddick. Maisie Aileen Wilson. William Edward Wolfe. Jared Wolfson. Eric T. Wong. Charlie Slawko Woke. Carrie Yang. David Stephen Yates. Vicky Ziki Yi. Joining us from New York, Luting Zhong. Ting Nguyen Jong. Joining us from Durham, North Carolina, Yindi Jong. Jiang Zhou. Joining us remotely, Yeong Kim. And our class speaker, Garmay Joey Gorlorwulu. Dean Abrams, I present to you the class of 2021.
This has been such a wonderful morning. Thank you to our speakers, to our faculty and staff, and to everyone who joined us to celebrate the achievements of this remarkable class, wherever you are. Graduating students, no, graduates, and now alumni, you have our very best wishes for a fulfilling career in the law. As a token of our admiration, you have each received a personal note from a member of the faculty or the administration, a packet of information on engaging with our alumni community, and several gifts courtesy of our Office of Student Affairs, Events Office, and the Duke Alumni Association. We hope these gifts will be small reminders of your time here, but please, come back often. Maintain a strong connection to your professors, your classmates, and foster new connections with the next generations of Duke Law students. This is just the beginning of what we hope will be a long relationship with your loving alma mater. Congratulations again, and good luck to all of you. Our speakers and faculty will now exit the stadium, followed by our graduates. Please stay at your seat until you are directed by a staff member to walk out. Please rise for the recessional.